Deputy Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Sihle Zikalala, joins us for some reaction. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. Deputy Minister, after years of debate and contention, this bill has been signed into law. I mean, you've just, I don't know how much you heard of the MK party, Mzwanele Manye, saying that there's nothing new. There's nothing new. It's a contradiction. What is your reaction to some of the remarks that have been coming through around this act?
Well, thank you. I'm not sure whether I must start by elaborating on the act or responding to what Mr. Manye was saying.
Perhaps respond.
But in essence, in essence, the act takes forward the process of expropriation. The Constitution on one side needed to be amended, but the act now says if there is a public interest, we can therefore expropriate that with the nil compensation, which is zero rated compensation. And therefore, Mr. Manye is opportunistic in saying this is a repetition of 1975 Act. And Mr. Masina have clarified the matter, and he has and been able to articulate that these attest to the resolution of the African National Congress. But I think we must go further. It's not a political issue. This is a socio-economic issue. You have buildings in cities that are dilapidated. They cannot be expropriated because there is no expropriation act that is clear. You have servitude that must be expropriated from certain farms that cannot be expropriated. And now that will be expropriated. You have people who stay in farms. They can be evicted at any time. And today, through this act, we can expropriate those residential pieces of land for them to reside. And you do have also land that is in question where where farmers are charging exorbitant fees for that land to be transferred. And through this act, we can then expropriate those lands.
So the legislation, Deputy Minister, places your department as the executing authority of expropriation. So all the applications for those seeking expropriation for a public purpose and in the public interest must go through your department. A mammoth task lies ahead for your department, especially considering, for one, the country's unemployment rate. I've just spoken this evening to the Freedom Fronter's Peter Groenewald, and he spoke about taking this to court and speaking about what will form some of the elements of the basis of the legal argument, saying that if you look at the land restitution in South Africa, it started, if you look at land reform in South Africa, it started with land restitution. There were 80,000 claimants. 90% didn't want the land, they wanted the money. So that in itself, that remark, does it point as a point for concern when it comes to issues like food security? How are you going to support the farmers who are meant to benefit from this and be part of the ecosystem?
Well, thank you for that question. And you may talk to few people. I will refer you to, firstly, Honorable Nyonso, the Minister of Land and Rural Development, the former Minister of Agriculture. They will tell you that in their books, they have thousands of people who are looking for land so that they engage in agricultural activities, commercial agricultural activities. And therefore, there are a number of people, especially young people. If you can look in the database for the past 4 years, you will see that there is an increasing interest among young people to venture in agriculture. So it's not that people want land just for luxury. They want land to use it for commercial purposes. But how are we going to assist those people to utilize that land? Under former Minister Toko Tidiza, we launched a program of supporting agricultural activities, especially subsistent and emerging farmers. And we were issuing vouchers where those people will go and purchase equipment, seeds, and everything they need for their agricultural development. And those are programs that are still even continuing, even now, in a number of programs.
Deputy Minister, very quickly, just for the sake of time, before we let you go, the EFF I've just spoken to has said that government spent 60 billion rand on land restitution and there were elements of corruption. That's where the money went, according to them. In your statement, you say the unequal distribution of land and the tendency by some greedy individuals to use this land to impede the country's development prospect will be a thing of the past. It's all well and good to have that statement. How are you going to ensure that you have contingency measures in place to curb corruption?
Look, the EFF is partly correct, and that's what the ANC have been saying for years. The land restitution and distribution has been corrupted by a lot of officials and people who want to benefit at the expense of others. And that's why we are saying there must be this law that allow us to expropriate. Even if we expropriate from those who claim that they were given land, because there are trusts that do not exist in essence. They are not benefiting the beneficiaries of those trusts, but benefiting few. So now we'll be able to quickly expropriate land back to the people who must work there in those lands. And I think we must deal with that corruption. There has been corruption in the distribution and restitution of land, and as the government were prepared to deal with that, we will continue to deal with that corruption.
Very well. Thank you very much. We're going to have to leave it there for now. Speaking there around this matter is the Deputy Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Sihle Zikalala.